How you guys doing? My name is Vega. I'm currently a sophomore, computer information systems major, computer science minor at Howard University in the School of Business. So getting right into it, I guess one of my favorite memories of my grandmother would be how every time we would be with her in church and the reverend would ask somebody to stand up and talk about something. My grandma would always stand up and just brag about her grandchildren. We were always at the top of her mind, I believe, when it came to what was going on. And she would always brag about what we were doing in school, our grades, what we were doing outside of school, how we were giving back to our community, and what we were doing in general. And even in the times when I wasn't necessarily doing something that I felt was at the level that I should be, my grandma would always brag about us, and that kind of pushed me and set a bar of an expectation that I felt like I had to meet. So in my high school experience, I was able, well, thanks to my mom and of course ultimately my grandmother, I was exposed to many different programs that I was able to take part in the summer. One being Fast Track, a financial literacy program at Goldman Sachs in Manhattan, New York. Another being the NJIT Financial Literacy Camp. I was able to do Fairleigh Dickinson STEM program where I learned about engineering, and I majored in computer science at my high school. Now, me getting into those kinds of fields was a lot of push from my mother directly, because from my viewpoint, I didn't realize that a lot of the places that I can see myself in now, I wasn't able to see myself in those places before doing those programs. So getting exposed to those kinds of programs and actually getting into those spaces and seeing people that looked like me, that were black in those spaces that I wanted to be in, was a big help in reshaping my psychology in the sense that I can now see myself in those spaces like vividly, not just seeing somebody on a screen and thinking, oh, I want to be like them, knowing that there is somebody that worked to get there and that I can do that too, was a big help. So the power of exposure is a powerful tool. You don't know until you really try. You really don't know until you really try. I did not see myself liking finance, and when I did these financial literacy programs, after coming out of them, I don't necessarily want to work in finance, but they have taught me skills that I'll need for life. Like basic financial literacy is a skill that most people aren't taught in school, but definitely need. Learning how to invest and trade and save, even if you don't work with the stock market, saving for a retirement or a rainy day, saving just short term if you want to start a business. Those are things that people need if they want to grow further in life in general.
Right.
So giving your kids a slight push, or maybe a more than slight push into these programs is definitely something that should be contemplated, I think, because I'm not gonna say kids don't necessarily know what they want, but you don't know what you want until you've tried it. Well, the going into All-Star Code, it's a program run by Reginald Lewis's daughter, Christina Lewis. She made it specifically because she didn't see people like her dad, black boys, in the computer science industry. So she does it. It's a program for sophomore to junior boys of color to get situated in the technology field. Now, going into it, I had already been a sophomore in my school, so I already had taken 2 years of computer science at my school. So I knew a good amount of computer science when it came to just, I guess, the basic concepts in programming. So I felt like I kind of had a leg up going into the program. I wasn't so as reserved, thinking that I wouldn't know what I was doing. But even if you are, and even if you haven't touched computer science at all, it's an entry-level program, and they'll teach you everything that you need to know. But aside from computer science, what I learned there was a lot of, like I said, soft skills and life skills, and it was very a heavy focus of the program was learning how to fail. Failure is something that everybody has to face eventually throughout in life. I've had many failures when it comes to school and in career. Recently, I actually just got denied for an internship process that I was working, I think, relatively hard for, but it just didn't pan out. And that's a failure I have to work past. But in that program, they teach you. They go around the room first to get you introduced to everybody. You get to meet everybody, and the first thing that you share about yourself is a time that you failed, just so you get comfortable confronting that failure and then moving past it. Right. And every time you fail in a piece of, when you're writing code and you run a code and it spits back an error, you yell out, "I have failed," and they give you a tally next to your name. The person who fails the most ultimately gets a prize at the end of the program. But apart from learning how to fail forward, learning computer science, they also took us to many companies, Kickstarter, Microsoft, where we got to interact with the professionals there. So we learned not only the tech side of things, but the business side of tech. So if we wanted to combine both, which is one of my passions, combining my business and technology to ultimately become a tech entrepreneur, I learned a whole plethora of different well-rounded skills that have definitely given me a leg up, I believe.
Awesome, great. So if you have a 10th grader for this summer, make sure they apply to All-Star Code.